What if the way you begin your morning determined the destiny of your entire day? What if the first thoughts you choose, the first words you speak, and the first breaths you take in gratitude could set in motion a chain of victories that no obstacle could stop? Every sunrise is more than the turning of a clock. It is the whisper of eternity telling you that life has been given back to you again. You are not awake by accident. You are awake because there is still purpose inside you, and there are still victories waiting to be unlocked. Most people open their eyes and immediately return to the weight of yesterday. They replay regrets. They rehearse failures. They scroll through distractions that drain the soul before the day even begins. But you are not called to live like that. The morning is not a repeat of yesterday. It is a divine reset, a gift of new mercy, a chance to walk into the day with strength, peace, and clarity. You are given the sacred opportunity to choose how your spirit rises, and that choice will decide how you conquer what comes. There is a reason the early hours feel different. The mind is still uncluttered. The heart is still open. The spirit is still tender enough to receive direction. Science shows that the first moments after waking are when your brain is most impressionable, when your inner compass is set for the rest of the day. If you fill that space with doubt, fear, or worry, you program yourself for defeat. But if you fill it with prayer, with gratitude, and with the promises of God, you program yourself for strength, clarity, and victory. The morning becomes the launch pad of your faith, and faith is the greatest force that will carry you through storms. This is why you cannot take your mornings lightly. They are not just routine. They are not just habit. They are the meeting place between your weakness and God's strength. They are the altar where you lay down your fears and rise with courage. They are the battlefield where victory is decided before the world even knows you are awake. When you dedicate those first minutes to aligning your spirit with God, you step into the day armored, focused, and unshakable. The truth is simple but powerful. Mornings shape destinies. And when you choose to unlock your day with prayer and God's promises, you are not just surviving, you are stepping into a life of purpose. You are declaring that today will not control you, you will control it. That no fear will define you. Faith will define you. Faith will define you. That no weakness will break you. God's strength will sustain you. Stay with this message because what waits for you is not just motivation, but transformation. By the time we finish, you will be equipped with the keys to claim victory every single morning, no matter what yesterday held. Word count. 500 wide heavy check mark the weight you carried yesterday does not belong to you today. Too often, the mind clings to memories of failure, disappointment, or pain as if they were chains that can never be broken. But every new morning is God's reminder that yesterday is over, and the past no longer has the right to define you. The voice that tells you to keep reliving your mistakes is not the voice of truth. The voice of truth says, forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. These words are not a suggestion. They are a command to release what is behind you so you can fully embrace what lies ahead. The human heart longs for progress, yet progress cannot come while carrying the weight of regret. Regret locks the soul in a prison of a what-ifs and if-onlys. But freedom comes when you choose to let go, when you allow God to take yesterday's ashes and replace them with today's beauty. Your past cannot follow you unless you keep holding it. Your failures cannot imprison you unless you keep rehearsing them. The moment you surrender them, you create space for new strength to rise. Psychology proves what Scripture has always declared. Dwelling on the past drains energy, weakens motivation, and blinds the mind to new possibilities. When you wake in the morning and replay what went wrong yesterday, you rob yourself of the power to create victory today and day. But when you wake and declare, yesterday has no hold on me, today I walk in new mercy, you shift your entire emotional state. You give your spirit permission to step into possibility instead of limitation. The morning is the perfect time to cut the ties of yesterday. In those quiet moments, before the noise of the world invades, you have the power to decide who you will be today. You can be the person still chained by regret, or you can be the person who rises free, unshaken, and ready to create a new story. God's promise is clear. He is making all things new. That means your failures are not the end. That means your struggles are not permanent. That means your past does not get the final word. When you embrace this truth, the morning becomes more than a beginning. It becomes liberation. It becomes the proof that God has not abandoned you, that His plan is still alive, that His strength is still available. Imagine the power of living each day free from the grip of yesterday, walking forward with clarity, peace, and expectation. This is not just an idea. It is your reality if you choose to claim it. Today you are free. Today you are new. Today the chains of yesterday are broken and nothing can hold you back from the victory that waits before you. Word count. 500 white heavy check mark. When the heart has released the weight of yesterday, the soul becomes ready for alignment. Alignment begins in the stillness of prayer, where every thought, every fear, and every desire is surrendered before God. Prayer is not just words whispered into silence. It is the moment when weakness meets strength, when confusion meets clarity, when fear meets courage. In those first breaths of the morning, prayer has the power to shape not only your day, but the very direction of your life. It is the anchor that steadies you, the compass that points you forward, and the shield that guards you from the storms that seek to shake your spirit. The human mind is restless, easily pulled into distractions, anxieties, and doubts. But prayer is the act of gathering those scattered pieces and placing them in the hands of the one who sees the entire picture. When you begin with prayer, you no longer start the day fighting battles on your own strength. You start with peace. You start with perspective. You start with power that is greater than anything the world can throw at you. This alignment is not passive. It is the active decision to declare that your day belongs to God and that His promises will guide you through every moment. There is profound psychological strength in this act. When you begin the morning with gratitude, your mind shifts from scarcity to abundance. When you surrender your worries in prayer, your body releases tension, your heart finds calm, and your thoughts become focused. And when you ask for strength with faith, your entire being prepares to rise above challenges instead of shrinking under them. Prayer transforms the atmosphere of your inner world, and the atmosphere within always dictates the reality you create around you. To unlock victory every morning, prayer must not be rushed or empty. It must be intentional, sincere, and expectant. Speak words of gratitude for the breath in your lungs, for the chance to see another sunrise, for the unseen protection that carried you through the night. Lay down your fears, naming them one by one, and then release them, believing that they no longer hold power over you. Ask boldly for strength, wisdom, and courage, knowing that when your spirit aligns with God, nothing can stand against you. This is not ritual, it is transformation. The reward of such alignment is not only peace for the moment, but victory for the day. When your heart begins in prayer, your reactions change, your choices strengthen, and your vision clears. Challenges that once overwhelmed you become opportunities to rise higher. Problems that seemed unsolvable shrink in the light of faith. Each word spoken in prayer plants a seed of victory that grows throughout the hours ahead. And as you walk through your day, you will know this unshakable truth. You are aligned, you are strengthened, and you are already equipped to win. Word count, 500 white heavy check mark when your spirit has been aligned through prayer. What rises next is the unshakable awareness that you are never alone. The greatest fear that haunts the human heart is the feeling of being abandoned in the face of struggle. Yet the promise of God silences that fear with words that cannot be broken. When you pass through the waters, He will be with you. When you walk through the fire, you will not be consumed. This is not a possibility, it is a certainty. The presence of God is the greatest guarantee that you can carry into every morning, and it is the foundation of victory before the day even begins. Think of the power that comes from knowing you are not walking into challenges by yourself. The storms may rise, but you are not standing exposed. The waves may crash, but you are not drowning. The fire may rage, but you are not burning. Every fear loses its grip when you realize that the one who formed you is walking beside you, shielding you, strengthening you, and guiding you. With His presence, what once felt overwhelming becomes manageable. What once felt impossible becomes achievable. What once felt like a battle destined for defeat becomes an arena for triumph. Psychology affirms the truth that people thrive when they believe they are supported. Isolation weakens, but connection empowers. When you live with the conviction of God's nearness, you cultivate the deepest form of support that exists. You begin to respond to life differently. Fearful thoughts are replaced with calm assurance. Anxiety is replaced with bold confidence. Despair is replaced with unshakable hope. This shift does not come from denying reality, but from standing in the higher reality of God's promise that you will never be left or forsaken. Every morning you have the choice to either walk in fear of what may come or walk in confidence that you are accompanied by a presence greater than every trial. When you choose confidence, your posture changes, your tone changes, and your energy shifts. You no longer move through life reacting to threats, but advancing with courage. You no longer waste time doubting if you can endure. You know you are empowered to overcome. The knowledge that God is with you builds a shield around your spirit that no attack can penetrate. This is why the morning is the moment to remind yourself of His presence. Speak it aloud if you must. Declare with conviction that you are not walking alone today. Let your soul hear the truth until it sinks deep into your spirit. Carry it as armor into every meeting, every challenge, every decision, every test. The promise stands unbroken. You will not be alone. You will not be defeated. You will not be overcome. With God beside you, victory is not uncertain. It is already written into your day. Word count, 500 white heavy check mark. Fear is the greatest thief of human potential, and doubt is its closest companion. Together they paralyze the mind, weaken the heart, and blind the spirit to the possibilities that God has already prepared. Every day countless dreams are abandoned not because they were impossible, but because fear whispered louder than faith. Yet the word of God speaks with clarity. Do not fear, for you have been redeemed. These are not empty words. They are the voice of the Creator declaring that fear has no rightful place in your life. When you rise each morning with this truth, you rise armed against the lies that seek to hold you back. Fear thrives in uncertainty, but faith thrives in promise. The morning is your opportunity to silence the voices of doubt before they even begin to take root. By speaking God's promises over your day, you train your mind to expect strength instead of weakness, victory instead of defeat, courage instead of hesitation. The moment you declare with conviction, "I will not fear because God is with me," you begin to reshape the landscape of your thoughts. Your body feels lighter, your mind clears, and your spirit rises. Courage does not appear by accident. It is built by repeated alignment with truth, and the morning is the perfect time to establish it. Psychology reveals that fear is not eliminated by avoiding it, but by confronting it with stronger beliefs. The brain rewires itself when it is repeatedly given evidence that safety and strength are present. Each time you choose faith over fear, you are not only shaping your day, but reshaping your entire identity. You stop identifying yourself as weak, limited, or fragile, and you begin to live as someone redeemed, chosen, and unshakable. This transformation is not the product of wishful thinking. It is the direct result of declaring and believing God's promises as the foundation of your reality. Every fear that rises against you is an invitation to step deeper into faith. Every doubt that whispers failure is an opportunity to remind yourself that God has already claimed victory on your behalf. You cannot stop fear from knocking, but you can decide whether it stays. And the way you decide is by affirming truth louder than fear. Morning after morning, word after word, you establish a rhythm of victory that fear cannot interrupt. This is the power of beginning the day with declarations of faith. You set the tone for every moment ahead. You create resilience that cannot be shaken by sudden problems or unexpected challenges. Fear may try to return, but it will find no room in a heart filled with God's promises. Doubt may try to rise, but it will be silenced by unshakable conviction. When you claim this truth each morning, you do more than prepare for the day. You rise above it, fearless, focused, and unstoppable. Word count, 500 white heavy check mark. When fear has been silenced and doubt no longer holds you captive, you awaken to the deeper truth of who you are. The voice of God speaks with clarity. You are mine. These three words carry the power to reshape your entire identity. The world may try to label you by your failures, by your weaknesses, or by the scars of your past, but none of those names belong to you. The only identity that matters is the one given by the one who created you, redeemed you, and called you his own. When you rise in the morning and remind yourself of this truth, you do not step into the day as a victim of circumstance. You step into it as a child of promise. Identity shapes destiny. When you believe you are small, you act small. When you believe you are unworthy, you accept less than what you were meant for. But when you embrace the truth that you are chosen, loved, and called, you begin to live with a new level of confidence and courage. The words "you are mine" mean that you are not wandering without direction, not abandoned without protection. not living without purpose. They mean your life has value, your steps are guided, and your destiny is secure. This truth, spoken each morning, unlocks a level of strength the world cannot take away. Psychology confirms that people perform at their highest when they live with a sense of meaning. Without meaning, even success feels empty. With meaning, even struggle feels purposeful. When your identity is anchored in God, meaning becomes unshakable. Every challenge you face is no longer proof of weakness, but an opportunity to reveal the strength placed within you. Every setback becomes a stepping stone toward growth. Every victory becomes a testimony of who you belong to. The morning is the time to center your heart on this identity so that the day ahead cannot redefine you. The danger of forgetting who you are is that you begin to live under false names. Names like failure, unworthy, or not enough. But when you declare the truth, you strip those lies of their power. Each morning, look in the mirror of God's promises and remind yourself, I am not abandoned, I am not forgotten, I am not ordinary, I am chosen, I am redeemed, I am His, I am His. Carry that identity into the hours ahead, and you will stand taller, speak bolder, and act with courage that cannot be explained by human strength alone. Victory begins with identity. If you rise each morning believing you are weak, life will prove you right. But if you rise knowing you are God's, life will be forced to bow to that truth. You are His, and that means no force can steal your destiny, no fear can silence your purpose, and no obstacle can stop the power of who you were created to be. Word count. 500 white heavy check mark. Each new sunrise carries within it a declaration from heaven that your life is not finished and your story is not over. The light breaking through the darkness is more than a cycle of nature. It is a sign of renewal, a divine reminder that God is always doing something new. No matter what yesterday held, the morning announces fresh possibilities, new mercies, and opportunities waiting to be revealed. To rise with this awareness is to rise with expectation, knowing that you are stepping into a day designed for growth, progress, and victory. The body itself understands renewal. While you sleep, your mind processes, your strength restores, and your system prepares for another day. This natural reset mirrors a spiritual truth. God has built into your life the rhythm of starting again. You are not meant to live stuck in endless repetition, chained to what was. You are meant to rise each morning with the confidence that new things are already springing forth, even if you cannot yet see them. Faith demands that you look at today not through the lens of the past, but through the promise of what is possible. Expectation is powerful. The brain is wired to look for what it believes. When you begin the morning expecting defeat, your mind will find reasons to confirm it. But when you begin the morning expecting victory, your mind begins to notice opportunities, solutions, and pathways that align with that belief. This is why God calls you to rise with faith. Faith transforms the way you see the world, and the way you see the world shapes the life you live. Each morning, your vision can either be clouded by despair or lifted by hope. The choice is yours. Hope is not fragile optimism. It is unshakable confidence in the one who holds the day in his hands. It is the fuel that allows you to keep moving when the path is hard. It is the fire that burns away the residue of yesterday's failures. When you choose to start the day with hope, you awaken your spirit to recognize the new opportunities God has placed before you. You no longer live in survival mode. You live with expectation. You no longer drag yourself through the hours. You walk with purpose. You no longer question whether change is possible. You know it has already begun. Every sunrise is an invitation to step into renewal. It is God's gift wrapped in light, waiting for you to claim it. Do not waste the morning by rehearsing the same fears, carrying the same burdens, or expecting the same outcomes. Lift your eyes, lift your heart, and lift your faith. The new thing has already begun. It is unfolding even now. Your role is to step forward with expectation, believe in the promise of renewal, and walk boldly into the day knowing that victory has already been written into its design. Word count, 500 white, heavy checkmark struggle is a part of every life, but it was never meant to define you. The presence of difficulty does not signal the absence of God's promise. It is the very ground on which His strength is revealed. Every battle you face is an opportunity for resilience to grow, for character to be refined, and for faith to become unshakable. When you rise each morning prepared in spirit, you are no longer blindsided by struggle, You are armored, equipped, and ready to meet it head on with courage that flows from the certainty of God's presence. Challenges can feel overwhelming when viewed through the lens of weakness, but when you remember that God has promised to carry you through, the weight shifts. The waters may rise, but you will not be swept away. The fire may burn, but you will not be consumed. These are not poetic phrases. They are declarations of divine protection. They are reminders that pain cannot destroy you, fear cannot silence you, and struggle cannot break you. With each sunrise, God gives you strength not only to endure, but to rise stronger than before. From a psychological perspective, struggle is not your enemy. It is the force that builds mental resilience, sharpens focus, and strengthens determination. Yet without hope, struggle feels unbearable. Hope is the key that turns hardship into growth and suffering into transformation. That is why beginning the day with prayer and promise is so essential. It fills you with the hope that fuels resilience. It allows you to look at obstacles not as walls that block you, but as weights that strengthen you. Every resistance is shaping the person you are becoming. When your spirit enters the day clothed in this perspective, you no longer shrink from the challenges ahead. Instead, you rise to meet them, knowing that victory is already written. Struggle is no longer a reason to retreat. It becomes evidence that your breakthrough is near. Fire refines gold, and pressure forms diamonds. Likewise, the tests of your life are the very conditions under which your faith is purified and your destiny is formed. So do not despise the battles you face today. Do not wake in the morning, dreading the weight of the struggle before you. See it as an arena where God will reveal His power through you. See it as proof that you are still moving, still growing, still alive with purpose. The struggle is not here to destroy you. It is here to elevate you. And with every prayer you speak, every promise you believe, and every step you take in faith, you prove that nothing can defeat the one who walks in alignment with God's strength. Victory is not delayed. It is unfolding even in the midst of the battle. Word count. 500 white heavy check mark the words you speak each morning are not just sounds. They are seeds. They carry power to shape your thoughts, direct your emotions, and influence your actions throughout the day. Too many people rise and immediately repeat phrases of defeat, statements of exhaustion, fear, or limitation, and then wonder why their day unfolds with heaviness. But when you choose to speak life, when you declare truth rooted in God's promises, you set in motion a chain of victory that nothing can break. The atmosphere of your life is commanded by the declarations of your mouth, and the morning is the perfect time to give that command. When you wake and affirm with conviction, "I will not fear, because I am redeemed," something begins to shift inside you. The fear that tries to creep in finds no place to stay. The doubt that whispers lies is drowned out by the sound of truth. This is not empty repetition. It is the act of aligning your inner world with the eternal word. Your brain listens to your voice more than any other. What you repeatedly declare becomes what you eventually believe, and what you believe dictates the life you create. Science affirms what faith has always known. Spoken words rewire the mind. The subconscious does not distinguish between what is imagined and what is declared with belief. Each affirmation becomes a message etched deeper into your identity, and identity shapes behavior. When you declare, "I am strong, I am protected, I am victorious," you are not pretending, you are planting. The seeds may not look like fruit immediately, but over time they grow into resilience, confidence, and unstoppable faith. This is why the morning declaration is so powerful. It is not just about feeling inspired for a few minutes. It is about programming the very foundation of your day. Challenges may still appear, but you will meet them with a mind already conditioned for victory. Problems may still come, but you will confront them with a heart already strengthened by truth. Every word you speak in alignment with God's promises becomes both a weapon against fear and a compass toward destiny. The key is consistency. A single morning of affirmation may lift you, but a lifetime of declaring truth will transform you. Victory is not unlocked by accident. It is unlocked by discipline. When you choose to begin each day speaking life, you establish a rhythm that no circumstance can silence. You begin to carry an atmosphere of strength everywhere you go. People feel it. Circumstances bend to it. Darkness cannot stand against it. The promises of God were never meant to be silent. They were meant to be spoken, believed, and lived. Each morning, declare them boldly, and you will find that victory follows your voice wherever you go. Word count. 500 white heavy check mark the purpose of every morning is not only to prepare you for the day, but to remind you of the life you are called to live. Prayer and promise are not meant to remain in the silence of your room. They are meant to flow into every step, every choice, and every word you release into the world. Victory is not unlocked by moments of inspiration alone. It is secured by living consistently in alignment with the truth you declare at dawn. Each morning you are given the chance to set a standard for yourself, and the measure of that standard becomes the rhythm of your destiny. The danger for many is to treat these moments as fleeting motivation. They rise, they speak life, but as the hours pass, distractions and pressures drown the voice of truth. But when you understand that the morning is not an isolated ritual, but the foundation of your identity, everything changes. Everything changes. You begin to carry your prayer into your work. You carry your affirmations into your conversations. You carry your awareness of God's presence into every situation you face. The result is not a day filled with random highs and lows, but a day anchored by steady strength. Psychology confirms what faith declares. Consistency builds identity. It is not what you do once in a while that defines you, but what you do every single day. When you continually rise with intention, you train your brain, your emotions, and your spirit to respond to life differently. Habits become character, and character shapes destiny. Every sunrise offers you this choice: to live by default, repeating the cycles of the past, or to live by design, walking with focused power and faith. The promises of God are not passive words to admire. They are active forces to embody. When He says you are redeemed, walk as the redeemed. When He says you are protected, move with courage. When He says you are His, live with confidence that no circumstance can strip away. To truly unlock victory every morning is to transform those promises from words you hear into truths you live. This is the difference between surviving the day and conquering it. Every morning is proof that God's mercies are new. Each sunrise is an invitation to begin again, to rise stronger, to live bolder. The past cannot hold you, fear cannot chain you, and doubt cannot silence you unless you allow them to. The morning has already handed you the key to freedom and victory. The question is whether you will use it. Choose to live the prayer you speak. Choose to embody the promises you declare. Choose to walk each day as someone already victorious. When you do, your mornings will no longer be moments of hope. They will become the foundation of a life of unstoppable faith and unshakable strength. Word count. 500 white heavy checkmark victory does not wait for a perfect future. It is born in the choices you make each morning. The greatest transformation happens not in sudden leaps, but in daily decisions that align your spirit with truth. Every time you rise with prayer, every time you affirm God's promises, every time you choose faith over fear, you are shaping the atmosphere of your entire life. The morning is not simply the beginning of a day. It is the beginning of your destiny. Each sunrise is an invitation to prove that what God has spoken is greater than what circumstances suggest. The temptation is to see mornings as ordinary, but nothing about them is ordinary. They are moments where eternity touches time, where mercy renews itself, and where strength becomes available for all who choose to claim it. When you treat these early hours with reverence, you step into a rhythm that multiplies power throughout the day. Small choices compound into great victories. Home. Quiet prayers echo into bold actions. Simple affirmations transform into unshakable confidence. It is in these hidden beginnings that the foundation for visible triumph is laid. The mind is always listening, always absorbing, always shaping itself according to what you feed it. If you fill it with fear at the start of the day, it will seek reasons to confirm defeat. But if you fill it with the promises of God, it will find strength where others see weakness and opportunity, where others see impossibility. The principle is simple. What begins in the morning multiplies through the day. That is why you cannot afford to start casually or carelessly. You must begin with power, with intention, with truth that cannot be shaken. To live this way is to transform your mornings into a declaration of victory. It is to rise and say, I am chosen, I am strong, I am protected, I am guided. It is to believe that every step is ordered, every challenge is surmountable, and every breath is filled with purpose. When this becomes your discipline, you stop waiting for victory to arrive someday and start living in it today. You become proof that God's promises are not abstract. They are alive, active, and unstoppable in the life of one who believes. This is the ultimate calling of each sunrise, to not only remind you of who you are, but to empower you to live as if victory is already yours. Because it is. The cross already secured it. The promise already declared it. The morning simply invites you to walk in it. Do not waste the opportunity by slipping back into doubt or drifting into distraction. Step forward with courage. Embrace the day as a child of God, clothed in His promises, aligned with His strength, unstoppable in His power. Your mornings are no longer ordinary. They are the birthplace of victory, and victory is your new way of life. Word count: 500 white heavy check. Mark, here's a 12-section script outline designed exactly for a faceless, motivational YouTube video based on your title. Each section is structured to be written later as 500 words of voiceover-ready content, keeping tone powerful, emotional, and psychologically inspiring. Every section flows naturally into the next, building emotional intensity and guiding the audience toward transformation. Script outline: unlock victory every morning. Powerful prayer and God's promises from Isaiah 43, Section 1. The awakening of the soul. Open with a thought, provoking question about life's daily battles and the weight of waking up each morning. Establish emotional context around the chaos, fears, and pressures people face. Lead into the idea that mornings are not ordinary. They hold the power to set the course of destiny when aligned with prayer and God's promises. Build anticipation that victory begins in the unseen choices at dawn. Section 2. The psychology of first thoughts. Explain how science and psychology show the brain is most impressionable in the morning. Emphasize that what you think first shapes emotions, choices, and actions for the entire day. Contrast the effects of starting with negativity versus beginning with God's truth. Establish prayer as the mental and spiritual anchor that rewires focus from fear to faith. Section 3. God's promise in Isaiah 43. Unpack the heart of Isaiah 43. The assurance that you are chosen, not forgotten, and deeply loved. Bring emotional power by describing how this promise applies personally to the listener. Reinforce that prayer is not just a ritual, but a doorway to receiving this promise every morning. Encourage belief that God's word overrides circumstances. Section 4. Overcoming the weight of yesterday. Dive into the human tendency to carry yesterday's failures, fears, or regrets into today. Explain how this poisons the fresh start mornings are meant to be. Show how God's promise in Isaiah 43 frees us from being defined by the past. Prayer becomes the act of letting go, releasing yesterday's chains, and walking into today with a clean slate. Section 5. Building unshakable identity. Focus on the deep psychological need for identity. Explain how many people start the day lost in doubt, forgetting who they are. Contrast this with the strength of beginning with God's words, "You are mine." Describe how repeating this truth in prayer builds resilience, confidence, and clarity of purpose that cannot be shaken by circumstances. Section 6. The power of gratitude and praise. Highlight the science of gratitude and its effect on brain chemistry, mood, and resilience. Connect this with prayerful gratitude in the morning. Explain how thanking God first shifts the inner state, magnetizing peace, joy, and strength. Reinforce that gratitude multiplies blessings by changing perception and empowering action. Section 7. Fuel for courage and action. Shift focus to how prayer fuels courage. Describe how many people begin their day in fear, avoiding challenges, shrinking back. Contrast this with the boldness that comes when one prays God's promises, believing that nothing is impossible. Show how prayer is not passive. It awakens action, risk-taking, and resilience. Section 8. Reprogramming the inner dialogue. Focus on the constant voice inside the mind that can either uplift or destroy. Show how starting mornings without prayer leaves this voice vulnerable to fear, doubt, and lies. Explain how speaking God's promises through prayer rewrites the subconscious with truth. Build the case that inner dialogue becomes a weapon of victory when aligned with Scripture. 9. Turning setbacks into fuel. Describe how every person faces setbacks, but the difference lies in how they respond. Show how prayer each morning equips the soul to turn pain into power, rejection into redirection, and failure into wisdom. Connect Isaiah 43's assurance that God is with you in the fire. Victory is not the absence of trial, but the presence of God within it. Section 10. Discipline and consistency. Emphasize the importance of making morning prayer and God's promises a consistent habit. Connect psychology of habit building with spiritual discipline. Explain how small daily choices create massive long-term transformation. Build momentum by showing that consistency is where ordinary lives become extraordinary. And Section 11. Living as if victory is already won. Teach the principle of acting in faith. Explain how beginning the day with God's promises gives strength to walk as though victory is already secured. Show how faith-driven action reshapes reality, aligning with divine promises. Reinforce that the listener has the authority to walk boldly in peace, confidence, and strength. Section 12. The daily declaration of victory. End with a powerful culmination. Lead the listener into the emotional climax. Mornings are the birthplace of destiny. Declare that prayer, aligned with Isaiah 43, is the ultimate source of unshakable victory. Close with a call to live every morning as a declaration of identity, courage, and divine strength. Leave the audience with urgency and inspiration to never let another morning go to waste. Sparkles. This outline gives you 12 equally weighted sections, each designed to be later expanded into 500 words of faceless, motivational, emotionally charged voiceover script, making the full series 6,000 words. Would you like me to now start writing section 1 in full 500 words, following the style of the earlier scripts I wrote for you? What is the very first thought that enters your mind when you wake up? Is it hope, or is it heaviness? For so many people, the morning begins with a weight that feels almost unbearable. The worries of bills, the pressure of responsibilities, the echoes of failures that never seem to fade. Before their feet even touch the ground, they are already defeated. And yet, what if you could unlock something different? What if the first breath of the day could set into motion a victory that no circumstance, no obstacle, and no fear could take away? Every morning carries power, but most people never realize it. The way you rise shapes the way you walk, the way you think, and the way you fight through the hours ahead. A mind filled with doubt will see problems everywhere, but a heart filled with faith will see solutions, opportunities, and strength where others only see walls. This is why your mornings matter more than you think. They are not just the start of a day. They are the opening scene of your destiny. If you waste that moment, you give power to defeat. But if you claim that moment, you begin to live in victory. The truth is, you are not created to wake up in fear. You were not created to live with the same cycle of anxiety, frustration, and discouragement. Deep inside, you know this. That is why, even in your lowest moments, something inside you still longs for peace, longs for strength, longs for a fresh beginning. That inner voice is a reminder that you are meant for more, and the key to unlocking that more begins in the very first minutes of your day. When you choose to step into the morning with prayer, you align yourself with something far greater than the struggles waiting ahead. You remind your soul that you are not walking alone, that your strength does not come only from your own effort, and that your future is not dictated by yesterday's failures. This is where victory begins, not in changing the outside world first, but in changing the state of your heart and mind. Imagine rising tomorrow and refusing to let fear take the first word. Imagine beginning with strength instead of stress, with clarity instead of confusion, with confidence instead of doubt. This is not a dream reserved for a few. It is a reality available to you right now. The power to step into victory every morning is already in your hands, waiting for you to claim it. Stay with me, because as you discover how to anchor your mornings in prayer and God's promises, you will begin to see a transformation that touches every part of your life. You will not just start the day stronger. You will start living every day with the assurance that you are chosen, equipped, and unstoppable. That is the power waiting for you each morning, and it is yours to unlock. Word count, 500 white heavy check mark. Would you like me to continue immediately with section 2 in the same style, an exact word count? Every new sunrise is more than just the start of another day. It is a personal invitation to rise above the shadows of yesterday and step into the light of a new beginning. The moment your eyes open, the universe hands you a choice. Will you surrender to the weight of old burdens, or will you stand tall, declaring strength over weakness and faith over fear? The atmosphere around you might whisper doubt, but the truth inside you carries a louder voice, a voice that calls you to victory. That call is not faint, it is not distant, and it is not uncertain. It is alive, burning in your spirit, waiting for you to answer it with courage. When you open your morning with prayer, you are not reciting empty words. You are aligning your heart with a power that cannot be shaken. You are declaring that no matter what lies ahead, you are equipped, you are covered, and you are chosen. The words you speak in those first quiet moments are not small. They echo through your entire day, shaping how you think, how you move, and how you respond when challenges rise against you. Fear loses its grip when faith takes its place. Confusion fades when clarity fills the mind. Weakness is replaced by the strength of knowing you are not walking alone. There is a reason mornings often feel like a battle. Darkness always resists the light. Doubt always pushes against hope. But the victory is not in avoiding the battle. It is in rising each day with the confidence that you already carry the power to overcome. The prayer you speak is not only a request, it is a declaration, a weapon, a shield that reminds you of who you are and whose strength flows through you. That kind of beginning changes everything. It transforms heavy steps into confident strides and turns anxious thoughts into unwavering certainty. Every morning holds a decision that will set the tone of your life. If you let fear write the script, the day will unfold with defeat already planted in your heart.